Solidarity forever. Oh, solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union makes us strong.
Victory!
There is victory for us.
Victory!
There is victory for us. In the struggle for our members, there is victory for us. Forward there is victory. In Africa. In Africa. In Soweto. In Soweto. Continue. Continue. Continue.
Victoria!
Asaka.
Victoria!
Asaka.
Victoria!
Asaka.
Amanda! Awetu!
Amanda.
God bless you all.
Goza.
I want to greet you this morning to introduce you into the activities that have heralded our gathering today. After my brief intro, I'll go into an official text that will give the details of what we are gathered here for. You are aware that JOESU, in its patriotic strides and patriotic beliefs, decided to hold back any industrial action in the face of very provocative actions by the federal government against our members. We acted patriotically because a novel virus was rampaging throughout the globe. And Nigeria also had got its own fair share of it. We decided to look at the citizens of Nigeria as paramount in the face of provocations. But today, we are taking a new step. That does not mean that we are no longer patriotic. But we are doing what we want to do today because our patriotism has been taken for foolishness. Because our care, as healthcare service deliverers, has been taken for weakness. Because our commitment to resolving issues through dialogue has been taken for cowardice. Because our demeanor to always look at peace as the first option has been described as a people who cannot endure hunger. Today and after today, at the expiration of our 15 days ultimatum, we will tell Nigerians to bear with us as we will test our abilities, whether we can endure hunger or not. And I assure you, hunger has not killed any, and it will not kill JOESU members. So JOESU will be out on full throttle to ensure that we tell the government and those who believe our people cannot endure hunger that we can also endure hunger. After all, fasting is a tool to get into heaven. Having said so, I want to indulge the press and all comrades to listen to our press statements. A text of an address by the chairman of JOSU at a press conference held on Monday, September 7, 2020 at Ayuba Waba House, Medical Aid Workers Union of Nigeria Headquarters, Cadastral Zone, Area 1, Garki, Abuja. Protocol. The issues at stake will be reviewed under the subject heads. A, State of the Nation. B, Outstanding welfare packages for JOSU members. State of the Nation. JOSU laments the obvious insecurity of lives and properties, which is caused by a wretched budget of less than 1% of GDP of the nation. The federal government, in furtherance of its anti-corruption war, supported by JOSU, must protect whistleblowers from corrupt and privileged government functionaries. JOSU condemns the insensitive deregulation of fuel prices, the introduction of stamp duties to be paid to Federal Inland Revenue Services, FIRS, by tenants in properties, and the hike in the electricity tariff, which all combine to bring further hardship and depression to the doorsteps of citizens. Stakeholders under the aegis of JOSU urge the government to ameliorate the pains of Nigerians and improve quality of health care for optimal outcomes in public interest. Outstanding welfare packages for JOSU members. These lingering welfare challenges are: 1, review of implementation of COVID-19 special inducement and hazard allowance. Payment of all withheld salaries of members at FMC Owerri, Jute, LUT, including April and May 2018 salaries. 3, adjustment of CONHED salary structure. 4, implementation of ADR consent judgments and other judgments. Review of implementation of COVID-19 special inducement and hazard allowance. The Federal Ministry of Health has been playing childish tricks with the implementation of COVID-19 inducement allowances, which was originally designed to replace the payment of 5,000 hazard allowance across board to all health workers, with a 50% basic salary of these personnel on April 21st, 2020. On July 1, the federal government again committed itself to the payment of these allowances based on the 50% basic salary earlier agreed with workers, but has gone ahead to truncate the agreement when it paid second tranche of the allowance for June 2020, which now necessitates an appropriate response from our members. Withheld salaries of JOSU members. The federal government continues to implement a selective no work, no pay policy, which has dealt decisive blows on some of our members in FMC Owerri, Jute, and LUT. This discriminatory and outrightly hate policy, I repeat, this discriminatory and outright hate policy was visited on the generality of JOSU members when their April and May 2018 salaries were seized under the watch of the immediate past health minister, Professor Isaac Adewale. At different times, medical doctors under the template of ARD or NRD have gone on strike in LUT for 6 weeks in 2018 and recently in July 2020 without their salaries being withheld. ASU members were on strike for 3 months in 2017 and since March 2020 without threats of pay halt. On June 8, 2020, at a meeting of stakeholders including JOSU, some professional bodies in the health sector and the representatives of the federal government, Dr. Chris Ngige, promised a redress of all withheld salaries through payment in a post-COVID-19 era. Promises of a redress in a post-COVID-19 dispensation can no longer suffice, as this timeline cannot be defined in terms of when such a dispensation kicks off, thus making it imperative to allow such reprieves to become redeemable immediately. 3. Adjustment of commerce as was done with commerce. The federal government has serially violated claims to citizenship since 2014, when it adjusted the commerce scale holistically for doctors and further tinkered selectively with the same scale in 2017. But as continually made it unrealistic to achieve an adjustment of commerce in tandem with a 2009 MOU between health workers and the Federal Ministry of Health. In pursuance of the wicked machinations of the top hierarchy of the Federal Ministry of Health and Federal Ministry of Labor and Employment, who abduct us, they truncated the efforts of the National Salaries, Incomes and Wages Commission, which gave an estimate of 22.6 billion as funds to cater for the adjustment of commerce in 2018. By lying to the JOSU leadership that President Buhari did not approve the estimate because of paucity of funds. This revelation came to light on March 10, 2020, during a courtesy call on President Buhari by JOSU, where the president clearly displayed unawareness, contrary to the claim that they took this memo to him and he refused to approve it. And there they all, in fact, they made it open there that they have not taken it to him. This matter was further complicated at the AGR proceedings between the federal government and JOSU when officials of the Federal Ministry of Health claimed the best the federal government could offer for adjustment of commerce was 2 billion. After JOSU had rejected the 6.5 billion proposed by the federal government for this endeavor, which the National Salaries, Incomes and Wages Commission had initially put at 22.6 billion. JOSU strongly posits that the federal government should mandate a neutral official like the Honorable Minister of State for Labor, Barrister Festus Keyamo, SAN, to lead the federal government negotiation team to redress the grievances of JOSU on this subject matter. The precedence of late Barrister James Ocholi, SAN, in 2016, in this regard remains a positive reference point. Implementation of AGR consent judgments. JOSU demands that the Federal Ministry of Health be compelled to set up the reflected structures in line with the NICN judgments. A. Central Internship Placement Committee for all eligible health professionals. B. Payment of all promotions and skipping arrears. C. Redress of concerns of understaffing and irregular employment affecting JOSU members, thus a staff audit committee. V. Payment of specialist allowance for health professionals. E. Increase in retirement age of health workers from 60 to 65 years. F. Appointment of representative of PSN and other affiliate members of JOSU to fill vacant board membership slots at NOFIC, Abakaliki, National Eye Center, Kaduna, and National EA Center. G. Immediate commencement of fresh negotiations of adjustment of commerce. We are talking about the implementation of the agreement, negotiating the implementation of the agreement that has been stalled for years now. Demands. Provision of COVID-19 palliatives to the citizenry by federal government at all levels, while also redressing decaying infrastructures in all sectors of the economy. 2, immediate payment of the shortfall of COVID-19 allowances to health workers in FHIs, while states and LGs develop a framework to cater for their health workers. Unconditional payment of all withheld salaries at FMC Owerri, Jute, LUT, and the complements of April and May 2018 salaries vindictively orchestrated by Professor Isaac Adewole, the former Minister of Health. 4, the federal government is admonished to empower Barrister Festus Keyamo SAN, the Honorable Minister of State for Labor, to lead negotiations on behalf of the federal government to redress the injustice inherent in the unending clamor for the adjustment of CONHES. 5, President Buhari must direct the Federal Ministry of Health to obey all court judgments, including that of the NICN of March 2019, if they expect the citizens to obey court orders. Our declaration. In the event that the 5 major demands and their attendant sub-demands are not met by the federal government by midnight of September 13th, 2020, JOESU will commence a nationwide 7 days warning strike of our members in all FHIs. The state and local government health institutions are placed on notice for further directives to join the fray. This is authorization by the entire leadership of JOESU, made up of the 5 registered trade unions and APA, and the presidents and secretary generals of over 40 professional associations under JOESU and APA in the health sector of this country, as well as the strong voices for whom this strike action or any action cannot be called off. That is the state leadership of JOESU and the branch leadership that have been invited into this meeting to take this very crucial decision. Under the watch of the present Minister of Labor, Dr. Chris Ngige, who is a medical doctor, who I can comfortably say is an interested party. We have not arrived at where we ought to arrive in a simple matter that has been made complex. So we are feeling, and we are convinced, that if a neutral arbiter, someone that is not a medical doctor, is sitting at the saddle to listen to these issues, it will be better resolved, and Nigerians will get better health services from us, uninterrupted health services from us. From the address, you will agree that even after the Incomes and Wages Commission, which is an expert arm of determining wages and incomes, had come up with 22.6 billion as the amount to care for the adjustment. The government, or the Ministry of Labor, rather than taking to that expert advice, started another round of rigmarole by stating that government would not be able to do. But within this period we are talking about, you'll agree with me also that the Federal Ministry of Health has resolved issues, and the Federal Ministry of Labor has resolved issues that pertain to medical doctors. The question here is, why is it then difficult to get a resolution of simple issues, straightforward issues like ours? And the only answer is that there is a strong element of bias in handling the issue. So we want to free Nigerians from further obstructions of health services. Hence, we are asking that a free-minded, independent-minded, neutral arbiter be appointed to look at these issues so that, like Ocholi, he can also dispense with these issues in a very short while to enable the poor, especially the downtrodden Nigerians, to benefit from the low-cost, relatively low-cost health services of the public health institutions. Thank you.
It's no longer news what is happening in Rivers State, where the level of impunity has grown to the point where labor has been put under stress and have been compelled to take certain actions. And we in JOSU are backing the trade centers, NLC and TUC, and we are condemning the act of the governor of Rivers State. And that we are calling on all our members in Rivers State and all our members in the South-South region, all our members in the adjoining states to all show up en masse. Show up en masse to defeat this tyrant. Tyranny cannot continue in this land. Impunity cannot be allowed. And when the law says an employer must, it's a shall, the word used is shall, deduct the dues and pay to the registered office of the union. The law is not talking about dreams. The law is crystal clear. And whoever says he wants to use the law to inflict any injury on anyone, he should also try and obey that law first, because it's reciprocal. If a government refuses to obey what the law has said, and then it begins to go around parading or flying on pages of newspaper, I've got an injunction. When you are not a respecter of the law, do you think the law will also be happy to do the job for you? Thank you, and God bless you all.